Apurva has said shit about every single person. All these reality TV girls. They were immediately threatened. I knew that they have called me to f me over. I said that I am not interested, and then they assured me that it's not like a format like Big Boss or something. That this is actually a game of strategy. Listen, I'm very successful in my industry. Money is not a driving factor.
Yeah, never is.
My reputation is way
Of
more,
course,
any day,
of course.
way more important than money would ever
Yeah.
be. Hi, this is Nikita Luther, and you're watching me on India Forums.
Subscribe and hit the bell icon to never miss another update from India Forums.
So firstly, Nikita, hi and welcome to India Forums. I think it's been a roller coaster. I mean, who would have thought that, first week, first 5 minutes, and here we are literally 1 week later. And the episodes now prove that what you were up for and what the makers perhaps, had in store. So I want to ask first thing right away, because I think already बहुत सारा conversation, पिछले 2-3 दिन से चल रहा था.
Correct.
Even Anshula went on to, put up a video, okay, guys, it's not scripted and, all those things. So you probably are the best person to be answering it.
Yeah.
That yes, it was not scripted, but what is your take to this? What was your reaction? Of course, you were shocked and everything. कि पहले 5 मिनट में निकाल देते कौन ही anticipate करेगा. But what was your immediate briefing, or how did it work out that you will obviously come back and how it will happen?
Okay. Firstly, thank you for having me
Yeah.
here. Yeah. So I like that you jumped straight into it. That's a very pertinent question, and the audience needs to know. Yes, 110% swear on my honor, it was not scripted. And actually, we didn't even know who is going to be on the show, who the contestants are, what the format is going to be. Nothing was revealed to us. Everything was being revealed to us in real time. And when I was eliminated, it was very real to me. And I said, of course, I am gone and they've done this for shock value. They don't want me back. Why would they want me back? Like, if they want to really instill that shock, they put me in the car. There was no communication given to me, "Nee, don't worry," or something like that. They put me in a car, removed me from that palace, put me in a different hotel. Palace से मेरा luggage वापस भेज दिया. They put me in a room, did not return my phone. They said, now you have to wait for your exit interview. Oh. And now for 4 hours, I'm sitting with my hair, makeup, no phone, staring at a wall, waiting for my exit interview. And it was the most painful hours of that year, I think. And then even the whole day, they didn't tell me. And I said, मेरी ticket दो. मैं निकल रही हूँ यहाँ से. They're like, नहीं, they're busy, they're filming. So they weren't revealing. They wanted me to feel that panic and rage. So that's what happened. And after the next day in the afternoon, so after 1.5 days, finally I got to know that you're coming back. But by the night, I was like, overnight क्यों रखें?
Like, you figured out or sort of.
Like sort of, but nobody was confirming it. So it was still like, yeah.
Yeah, it is mad, but because we've seen such things happen in so many reality shows in the past. But सबको कहीं ना कहीं पता होता है, because it's like a trope ना.
Yeah.
With reality shows. Here you were genuinely like कि क्या ही मतलब पता नहीं.
They made me go through hell. Yeah. Off camera. They didn't need to.
Fantastic, lovely. And again, जितनी dramatic आपकी first 5 minute exit थी, उतनी dramatic re-entry भी थी, है ना? So let's just dive into it straight away. Correct. There also, right? What were you most cognizant of? Because you have already now you've, as you mentioned, कि वो 1.5 दिन आपके लिए भी था. You also didn't know कि अंदर हो क्या रहा है.
Exactly.
Because when it comes to real time shooting, episodes हमको अभी दिख रहे हैं, लेकिन real time shooting अलग होती है.
Right.
You have no idea what happened and you didn't know what you were getting into, and लोगों की already कुछ चीजें बन गई है. So what were you most cognizant of, or were there people you were immediately cognizant of because आपने उनके भी first impressions ले लिए थे पहले 5 मिनट में?
See, number one thing was that I was the anomaly. कि मैं poker player हूँ, I'm a strategist, and I was very cognizant of the fact that even if I come back, the target will be on me. Yeah. I will immediately be taken out again because I'll be a threat to everyone, and for them it's like they are intimidated, they don't know, it's a complete strange thing for them. So the first thing I wanted to do was act really harmless and stupid and confused कि तुम लोग तो यहाँ पे 3 दिन से हो, I don't know क्या हो रहा है, oh no what has happened, oh मेरे को कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है, like I was very very harmless. So that was a very big one that I had to be cognizant of. And about first impressions, I think, you know, I tried to stick with the people that I got, you know, good vibes from, like Maheep and Lakshmi and Raftar. But by then, all hell had broken loose when I came back, and nobody was in the right mindset.
Yeah.
So I was actually just staying a little away from everyone. I was not
Yeah.
forming any alliances. I was not forming any enemies.
Lovely. And who were the ones that didn't give you the right vibes right away? Because of course, as I mentioned, you know, it's all basic impressions, and as you mentioned, you're a poker player. You want to read. You read people's faces and, you know, maybe what they're intending. So who were the ones who didn't
Yeah.
give you any sort of the correct vibes right away?
I would want to say all these reality TV girls. They were immediately threatened,
Yeah.
I guess. So yeah, all of them.
All of them, literally all of them.
I mean, I felt like the older people, like the Maheeps and the Lakshmi and Raftar, Sudhanshu,
Yeah.
all of these people have a more stable head on their shoulders. They all gave me good vibes in the beginning. And all these girls, like, they make a living out of doing toxic drama. And for them, there's such a dissonance. They have no idea how to behave with respect and, you know, how to be poised, for example. For them, it's like such a complete contrast. Everything that they're not, that they were not okay to accept me.
Yeah,
So-
and were they ones, as you mentioned, that was there a specific instance that stood out to you for the wrong reasons? Because as I mentioned, just like any other reality show, not everything is up for everyone to see. हमें जो दिखाया जा रहा है, it's barely like, you know, let's say 5% of what's happening. It's like the other reality shows we are so used to otherwise.
Yeah, there was a big problem for me to adjust into the show. Like when I came back, I was feeling very like not accepted into this environment. So it was a very big one. So which is actually not shown. I thought they will show my discomfort a
Yeah,
lot
exactly.
more. And but by the end of it, I won everybody over and I made good friends, and in fact, like, I'm on good terms with almost everybody on the show. And the people that I am not like very good friends with, I am neutral with. Like, I don't have any, like, if anybody has a problem with me, it's their problem, not
Yeah.
mine. You know, so I am on good terms with everybody.
But did you feel that people did have a problem? As you mentioned, they did because you were a soft target, so to speak. But did they make it very obvious because of the preconceived notions and then the in-game also? Were there people who made you feel that a lot more than others?
Actually, because I came back with that mindset of not being a threat to anyone, I think I played that role to a point that nobody really went after me. You will see, like, you know, even
Yeah,
if they're
yeah.
talking, like, they're kind of talking in the background, nobody's coming and wagging a finger in my face. So it didn't happen. I didn't let it happen,
Yeah.
you know, just by my demeanor.
Lovely, super. You know, and I have to just highlight one instance that happened because you were given the opportunity to become a traitor, but you passed it on. You passed it on, and you mentioned that, you know, you would be the one, like, to be the one that catches the bluff as opposed
Yeah.
to being the bluff, so to speak.
Because I knew I am being baited as target. I am 3 steps ahead. I knew the traitors. The minute I got that call, I mean, call, like, not like a phone call, but
Yeah.
just like by the traitors, I knew that they have called me to me over. They want to throw me under the bus, and it's proven right. I'm seeing it on TV, and Elnaz is like, yeah, we need to give them a female traitor. And this is who they've chosen, like Nikita, we will throw her under the bus, logo mein khus-pus karenge. Anyway, I didn't form any alliances, so they will be able to. And I just got this instinct that this is here to, and I'm not playing for the limelight. I'm playing to win. Okay, I'm playing strategy. I'm playing strategy is survival. So I am not playing to grab camera attention, which everyone else is doing. Good for them. I am going to show how I play, like, my strategy. So that is why I declined.
Yeah. But did it, you know, what I always get fascinated by is that, as you mentioned, that you obviously had this mix of people. There are reality TV girls and guys, for that matter. They are so used to this. to being in an environment like that where there is going to be toxicity, where there's going to be allegations consistently, but everything was new to you, right? Everything. How much do you adapt as a person to an environment like this? Because I don't think nobody is inherently like this, and sometimes so much negativity also takes a huge toll on you. So how do you adapt to it?
Honestly, I was like a fish out of water because in my daily life, we don't interact with people like this. And it was one of the reasons initially when I got the call for the show, I said that I am not interested, and then they assured me that it's not like a format like Big Boss or something, that this is actually a game of strategy, where that is why they're reaching out to me. Otherwise they would reach out to and they also said there would be other people from different walks of life, like astrologers and lawyers and psychologists. Although there was only the astrologer there.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Per se outside. Yeah.
But I actually felt quite uncomfortable. So that's a good question to ask. But because I'm so used to being an adaptive personality, I was able to kind of mitigate that all the toxicity and kind of stay away from it, and I held myself with a lot of self-respect, so it was kind of not easy to kind of go at me, like, because I was just not participating. It was more like fire coming, I was throwing water on it, not responding back with fire.
Yeah.
So
but is it difficult, because it is also so easy to get influenced by all these things, right? Because एक तरफ तुमको game भी खेलनी है, like, come on, because let's be honest, it's not like you just try to be the goody person all the time. And because you can't in an environment like this, I don't think you even can. How much is that difficult for you inherently? You mentioned all these things very succinctly and rightfully, but how much did it take a toll on you in a way that, no, I don't want to do this after a point of time?
Yeah. So let me just, sorry to correct you, I don't think I was goody.
Yeah.
I wasn't being good, like, in the sense, like, I was being a little more too, like, self-respecting and principled, like, I built a reputation, but I was there to kill. But silence is power.
Yeah.
It is not the loudest mouth in the room is not powerful. Silence was my power. Being the outlier was my power.
Yeah.
I was the silent killer, okay, and that is why I was like 2 steps ahead and things like that. And it did get to me when Raftaar got eliminated, as you see. And I never thought like I would let this format get to me to a point that I'm in tears. But it's actually not shown properly because you can't put everything in the edit.
Correct.
What Raftaar did was he, gathered a clout and gathered votes against Sufi. And then this gave this whole twist of, that there is 4 people that are up for elimination. And this twist changed the whole game, because those votes that people had given their word, they would say now Urfi became safe.
Yeah.
So it was actually to it was surrounding Urfi.
Right.
So not to confuse the viewers, basically people gave their word to Raftaar that they are not going to vote against him. And on the table of Shak, circle of Shak, he was voted against, and it was like such a big betrayal. And for me, my word is the most important thing. I believe a man is only as a woman, or man is only as good as their word. And when people broke their word, I saw this betrayal in lifetime. I had given my word, I stuck to it, and that just really got to me about just human nature and how vindictive it can be. And the betrayal of a friend and my friend leaving. So all of those emotions, it got to me. So the environment does get to you, where you're like, there's just so much injustice and vindictiveness and toxicity, like, this is not good.
And it is, I think, perhaps fitting and sort of, I think, funny also for me to be even asking this, because the things that you mention, and you also reference Bigg Boss to an extent, it is the house, like, that house is and unfortunately for like a million times in terms of more in terms of the scale also and period also. So is it something that you would never do? And I purely ask this because you reference it and because we're talking about that nature so much.
No, I will not expose myself to that kind of abusive behavior and just doing drama for the sake of doing drama, brainless. Like, in fact, some of my friends are saying the difference between the IQ level on the show and yours is so jarring, and I was like, I was expecting more people like me. And in fact, if they got those lawyers, psychologists, and all that they had originally planned,
Right.
I think the show could be a little more cerebral and interesting, and you would be able to see different personalities more. Here, it's just these overlapping personalities,
yeah.
like, you know, Russian dolls, like one just louder than the other. So it's it's not for me. It's not for me.
So because again, see, as because it's talk about statistics. They offer big money. You know that house and the entire setup offers big money, because again, at your time, it's probably the easiest to get wooed by such an offer. So even if that's the case, I don't think you wouldn't think that would be on the table.
Listen, I'm very successful in my industry. Money is not a driving factor.
Yeah, never is.
My reputation is way
Of
more,
course,
any
of
day,
course.
way more important than money would ever
Yeah.
be.
But so is
And-
fame.
and
But
I make good
so is
money.
fame. Because even fame is a bites you. It's one of those devils
Yeah.
that bites you. Money, as you mentioned, fortunately, you don't have the problem ever. But fame is, because when you start getting the attention in the masses,
Yeah.
here you obviously are famous, but that's always a much more close circle, so to speak. Even that would never be a driving factor for you?
I don't think so. I'm not looking for external validation. In fact, you'll see like on my social media and all, I'm not like constantly posting about my life.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for external validation. It's more like I'm a little boring.
Yeah.
This is why. I'm just boring, guys. I'm a regular human being
Yeah.
who just wants to live their life, like, with
Yeah.
the right principles and things like that. So it's not for me.
Oh, definitely.
Hence it's not for
Yeah,
me.
definitely not suiting for Big Boss then. Lovely, superb. And just to come back to one of the instances in the episode, because again I say that we have already touched upon it a couple of times, that not everything is shown. Not everything is shown in this show in terms of the footage, the conversation that goes on between contestants. There was an instance where you were just passing by, and there was, as not to bring it up again, but very Big Bossy kind of an instance where Apurva was there and Sufi was there, and they were just looking at you, and they just passed by, and they would like obviously just say, I just hate her, I just hate her
Yeah.
coming by, and obviously, and then I think Sufi was the one who said, same, I hate
Yeah,
her as
yeah.
well, and you would just pass by, and this, obviously they're still smiling at you. That's an instance that perhaps happens the most common thing, in a normal life also. But when it happens on, celluloid or, in a show, it is obviously amplified. How do you react to instances like these?
So, see, there was no basis of saying that. I had no like dynamic with them to say that. And what is the credibility? Like, Apurva has said shit about every single person. This is how she makes a living. She doesn't have to have any basis to say it. This is just what she says. She has no credibility because she is basically saying ये रफ्तार तो पागल है, पता नहीं ये यूजलेस आदमी है, ये वैसी है, उर्फी वैसी है, उसका दिमाग छोटा, ये वो भी, इसके कपड़े, like everything. Jasmine, show me one person in the whole show where she's spoken positive about anybody.
True.
So the where it's coming from, there is no credibility. B, that is how she makes a living, how these people make a living, by spewing toxicity and negativity. So I won't take it personally.
Yeah.
That's their job. She's just doing her job. Like, why should I feel bad about somebody doing their job?
Yeah.
And that is basically I have no problem with her. And I always say, if anybody has a problem with me, it's their problem, not mine. Why should I take on problems that I've not created? So
Correct.
it's like, I'm happy for her, it works for her. Good on you, girl, you're doing a great job, but it's just her job. That's not rooted in any sense. And also, like, after a point, even audience will be like, but who are you saying good things about?
They'll also notice.
Like, Nikita's not even done anything. She's just passing by,
Yeah.
and she's not even involved in the show. And so you lose a bit of credibility there, in my opinion.
Fair. No, absolutely. And of course, because as I mentioned, you're playing a game and you're playing, you also have to have the opinion. Please continue.
So also, like I had said earlier, that I am such an alien in this environment. Like, I am not going around spewing venom and talking nonsense, and I am holding myself with, like poise. So they are not being able to relate.
Yeah.
Like, so for them, it's like, oh, let's just hate on her because it's like such a big unrelatable personality there. So I think I don't blame her.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair. But before I get to what I was asking you, on similar lines, what I find fascinating, how you're mentioning this, I think it was maybe, I don't know, it's perhaps similar to a bit Janvi was also being sort of assumed by people in the first episode itself, right? Because she was also, to an extent, people kept talking how she's alienating herself, she's not really being a part of this conversation, and because you have to be a part of it. Do you believe that is also a misconception, not just for Janvi, but I think a general human nature in this case?
That she's not being a part of the
Yeah, or
conversation.
being alienated or not feeling in the conversation, so to speak.
Yeah, so Janvi, I would say I wasn't feeling alienated. I think there's a difference. Like,
Yeah.
she was just assuming she's being alienated.
Right.
I wasn't feeling alienated. I just knew that I am different from these people.
Correct.
But it wasn't something that I was taking personally. Whereas Janvi was taking that personally. So I think that's quite a big difference in her perspective.
Right.
Her feeling victimized or her feeling like targeted. I never felt like that. I was
None of
like,
those, yeah.
fair enough. Like, I don't belong here and I don't want to belong here.
Lovely.
So I wasn't feeling victimized at all.
Super, fantastic. And what I was getting at, so because as I mentioned, it's a game and things go on. There was an instance where, you kept insisting when Anshula is a traitor, or, you felt Apurva is a traitor. And you obviously find annoying, and you were just being vocal about it, literally like everyone is. But is it a part of your actual personality, and what made you feel so, like vehemently that, okay, no, she is the one and she is the one?
So this was a very humbling experience because I was so sure.
Yeah.
It was a body language thing. I was really observing everybody. Like I said, my silence was my strategy. I wanted to be the silent killer. And then I just picked up on certain times that Anshula was very emotive in surprise moments that were revealed about the traitors. And so it was like, yeah, she knows, of course. But also, like, then I realized later that the traitors won't be so dumb to not be surprised.
Yeah.
So it was very humbling for me as well that once you create a belief, your brain is constantly looking for reasons to validate your belief. It's called confirmation bias. That's a psychological term.
Right.
So that was very, very big for me, like a big revelation that, oh my God, my brain is so like looking for, validating my pre-existing beliefs that I've grown from that experience, I guess. Being a poker player is not all, it's not.
Yeah, it's not like you have it sorted out, right?
No, exactly.
Yeah, you can obviously make mistakes, right?
Yeah. But also, I want to say that at that time, nobody was pointing fingers at Anshula, and I wasn't afraid to stand against the herd and not join this crowd of, basically like the herd mentality. And
correct.
I think that gave me the advantage. So that comes from poker, right? Having the balls to stand apart from the crowd. And so because I was able to do that, I was able to not be people's target. Because if I'm taking sides and the other side might target me, so it actually works out for me. I made it till episode 7, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
No, absolutely fantastic. And now of course getting to Karan, because he obviously brings a sense of this flamboyance to being what he is doing there, right? But because mentioned, I purely ask because I'm sure people always has this question, because that again happens with other reality shows also. Okay, jo host hai, jo main guy, so to speak, hai, who is the handling at the helm of things, how much does he or she are able to, how much are they able to influence beyond outside the camera, or how much are they not helping per se, but trying to make sure that you're still human, because Karan is technically playing a character. He's not actually being himself at Traitors, right? And we all know how good and sweet he is otherwise. What was the kind of situation there? Because at the end of the day, you're shooting a reality show. There are going to be stops. There are going to be takes. There's going to be off-camera stuff as well.
Okay, so interesting. Nobody else has asked me this, and I don't know how other reality shows function, but in this one, Karan was doing only one takes. Firstly, there was never a second take.
No.
It was all one take. And secondly, jitna you see on camera of Karan is how much we saw of him.
Lovely.
There was not a single other minute. That's why I'm saying it's interesting you asked, because I thought back and I'm like, there was not one extra minute where Karan interacts with the contestants. He comes in while the cameras are rolling and goes out when the cameras are rolling, and then we don't see him at all.
Fab.
And then we are kept aside and we are made to go back to the palace or our rooms or something like that, and Karan is nowhere to be seen. So as much as the audience is seeing Karan, or as much as whatever his dialogues were, actually nothing is cut out. He basically, every part of Karan is kept in. All one take, and the amount of time that we saw him as well. So nothing, zero involvement.
That is fascinating,
That
because
is.
to think as a host also, because let's be a human, we can fumble lines in like 3-4. Even though he's technically, as I mentioned, he's playing a character, he's also following a script or following certain rules and everything, which he has to explain, which might be fumbled here and there, but still that didn't happen.
Prompters, yeah.
There were prompters.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure, but as I mentioned, you still fumble because it's
Yeah.
just human to fumble at times. But it's really fascinating that never happened.
All one takes. Maybe 1-5,
of course.
like 5% here and there. Like no, I would say like almost everything one take. Yeah.
Supreme. That is just so crazy.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Now just we get on to, I don't call this rapid fire per se, because these are questions you are completely free to give an extra explanation on these answers if you want.
Cool.
But I have these really fun questions at throwing at you. You can just be honest about it.
Got it.
All right. Lovely. So first of all, now that technically the show has ended, even though episodes are still running, but real time, as I mentioned, the shoot has ended. Is there already like a secret WhatsApp group where all these exits, and there are some people who are probably born more than others, and are there traitors in there as well?
Are there traitors? There is a WhatsApp group, yes. Are there traitors? No.
No?
Yes.
Yes.
But I don't want to.
Yeah, as much as people have already seen, we'll not spoil anything which is beyond.
As much as people have already seen, no traitors, but there is a group, but not of everyone.
Yeah.
Some of them are not very interested in participating, but the group was formed after the filming. Nothing was formed immediately.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
people were, I
this is
guess, very
after
bitter.
filming. Correct. Yeah, of course.
People were very bitter in real time. So when all the episodes were shot, then some group.
And do you all end up chatting and discussing about how?
No, it's not a particularly active group, but some of us did take a trip to Golden Temple. So
Lovely.
it was me, Lakshmi, Raftar, Sudhanshu, Mukesh Chabra, Raj Kundra, Jasmine, Karan Kundra. So a bunch of us, we got together. We took a nice trip to Golden Temple. So formed some nice bonds there, and I hang out with Lakshmi, I hang out with Raftar, I hang out with Urfi, Jasmine pretty regularly now.
Lovely.
So yeah, some good.
Fantastic, awesome, super. And coming to the next one, who do you think in the game has the best, oh my god, I'm shocked face? Which is so perfect, but not everybody is able to ace that.
Oh my god, it's Sufi, the most dramatic.
Yeah, he's the most dramatic.
He's like,
But and the funny thing is, you can't even catch him. You can't even say if he's actually being real or he's not being real.
exactly. He's just in character.
Lovely, super. And of course, you're a poker player. So, when someone says, I trust you, do you think right away it's a bluff, or do you think it's more like a beginner's mistake and they just try to chime you in?
If somebody says,
I trust you. The three words, in a game like this, yeah.
No, I'm always suspicious. I'm a very suspicious person in life also. I always start with thinking that everyone is lying.
Yeah.
And then I look for reasons of why they might not be lying, and then finally arrive that, okay, maybe they're not lying.
Yeah.
But I never start with giving anyone the benefit of the doubt. Very suspicious.
Yeah. Fabulous. Let's say that if you got a specific, like a, one whole power kind of a thing in the show, hypothetically, of course, to eliminate a contestant right away, beyond the traitors concept and beyond everything else, who would that be?
Beyond the traitors.
Yeah, beyond the concept, because, as I mentioned, you can just throw a curveball. You never know.
I'll be safe and I'll say Janvi.
Janvi.
Just a useless person. Just everybody is like, she's not the traitor, but let's get her out.
Yeah.
Because she's just exhausting. She's exhausting. She drains your energy. So, bye-bye.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
And which player's innocent face would work best at the poker table and work worst at the poker table? Jannat's would work best at the poker table.
And work worst, probably Sufi. I don't think he'll be able to hold up. poker face at all. Pooram also will have a good poker face.
Right.
I think Pooram has done such a great job.
Yeah, he's been the underdog for so many people, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody really anticipated what he managed to do.
He's done such a great job.
You've lived, through being voted out technically in the first day. What's the one lie you still feel salty about, in the first 5 minutes? Because even though it was based on like first impressions.
Yeah, I obviously out of 20 people when you are targeted, it feels personal.
Yeah.
So I think I would be salty like as much as Elnaz has also given me a shout. Good mad props to her. She said, you were such a great sport. She's gone out on social media and said that. But I did feel like, all my childhood memories coming back on how the mean girls would try to exclude me from things. So that came back for me. So a little salty about feeling like, targeted in that sense.
Was there anyone's, reason? See, because what happened is, in that context, from what I remember vividly, is that एक जन ने बोला कि ये poker player है, and फिर 3-4 जन ने बोला हाँ, only because she's a poker player we are voting her out.
Yeah.
That happened a lot. But in that herd, was there a comment that you specifically not necessarily hurt you, but maybe it just struck to your brains?
Yeah, see, I only know what happens that's shown on camera.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
of
know what
course.
happened off camera. So I remember Maheep saying, fair enough. She had to pick someone, like she has to give a reason. Who else would she pick? So maybe about that, because Maheep and I went on to become good friends after that. Like if you see when she's exiting, she points at Elnaz and me and she's like, I made some good friends. So maybe, I would feel, that because she had a stable head on her shoulders as well, and even then she validated.
Fabulous.
Which, fair enough.
It's all in the game after at the end of the day. And fabulous, on just the last question and in this context, on a scale of, let's say 1 to Big Boss, how dramatic was the politics in the House of the Traitors on and off camera, which not necessarily has to be about just the elimination, can be about so many other things as well.
On a scale of 1 to Big Boss, actually I have to give the credit to the producers of the show. There were times that it got like, it was going to become really ugly, and when people are really abusing each other, screaming. And that's the only time they actually interfered. They never interfered at all, but they stepped in and said, guys, this is not that show. And I quote, this is not that show. We are going to cut all of this out. We don't want to make it about that.
Fabulous.
So because of that, I'll give it like 5.5 or 6.
Yeah.
But I would have given it a lot less because the producers did try to make it not that kind of show. But the cast, you can't avoid
They
it.
can't help themselves.
You can't avoid it. Yeah. So 6. Because I want to give the benefit of the doubt to the Amazon team.
Fabulous. And again, I'm on a parting note. There are things that you take away as a person. You as you mentioned, you also fleetingly mentioned you've grown as a person, you humbled as a person because of things that happen. But I think a journey like this is, you can't really quantify, so to speak, in a word or in a sentence. But if you were to do so, how would you, quantify it in a way that, okay, this was my experience overall and this will stay with me forever?
Okay, that's a little tough one. What will stay with me is that the ability to rise above the setbacks.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one, and also not taking everything personally.
Yeah.
That's very important to get ahead in life. You can't take things personally. People are coming from their own experiences, right? People are saying stuff, thinking stuff as a product of their own experiences. It's not on you, it's on them, and that's very important to get ahead. And I think that's one of the big ones for me coming out of the show.
Fabulous, Nikita. This was so lovely. I'm so glad, that you were just up for it and open to things, and which I think matters. And again, as I mentioned, you have a personality which is just like the way it was in the show, and you radiate that in real life as well. So we really appreciate that. So thank you so much.
I enjoyed this interaction a lot. Yeah, you asked some good questions.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.